Top reasons businesses are relocating to Katy, Texas. And Katy, Texas has evolved from just a Houston suburb into a significant employment, commercial real estate, and an economic development center of its own. It's located approximately 30 miles west of downtown Houston, really at the intersection of I-10 and the Grand Parkway. And the Greater Katy area offers companies something that's increasingly valuable, and that's access to the greater Houston economy without requiring them to locate in Houston's urban core. So, for business owners considering a relocation and investors evaluating commercial real estate opportunities, and developers following Houston's westward expansion, Katy commercial real estate deserves attention. And here are some of the biggest reasons that businesses are relocating to Katy. First is strategic access to Houston as well as the region. And commercial real estate begins with location, and Katy's transportation network is one of the strongest competitive advantages. And Interstate 10, I-10, provides east-west connectivity throughout Houston and across Texas. And while the Grand Parkway provides north-south access around the Houston metropolitan area, and other important transportation corridors also serve the Greater Katy region, including US 90, the West Park Tollway, and the Katy Tollway, and the Texas Heritage Parkway. And for businesses, that connectivity can translate into better access to the customers themselves, but also to employees and to vendors and distribution networks and airports and the broader Houston economy. And this is particularly important for companies in industries such as energy and energy services, but also engineering and construction and distribution and logistics, in manufacturing and professional services, and healthcare, and retail and technology. So, for an owner user that's evaluating commercial property, accessibility isn't simply about convenience. It can directly affect recruiting and customer access and delivery times and operating efficiency and ultimately real estate value. Two is access to a large and educated workforce. And companies don't simply relocate because they find an attractive building, but they need employees. And the greater Katy area benefits from enormous Houston regional labor pool while also having a substantial employment base of its own. So let's talk about the Katy Area Economic Development Council. And their data is reporting that more than 345,000 employed people within its defined area and more than 210,000 residents with bachelor's degrees, plus over 114,000 with graduate degrees. And that creates an important advantage for employers attempting to recruit professional or technical or healthcare or engineering or management or really just skilled employees. And Katy also benefits from the workforce development relationships with the area, the schools, the colleges, the universities, and the technical training organizations. So, for companies considering a headquarters or a regional office or a medical facility or an industrial operation or professional services, location, workforce availability can all be just as important as the rental rates. But three is proximity to Houston's energy corridor. And Katy's relationship with Houston's energy corridor remains one of the area's defining economic advantages. And major energy companies and related employers have substantial operations throughout West Houston and the greater Katy area. And this concentration creates an ecosystem of engineering firms and consultants and contractors and technology companies and equipment suppliers, professional service providers, and other businesses supporting the energy industry. And a company doesn't necessarily have to be an energy producer to be able to benefit. And when major employers concentrate in one particular region, secondary demand develops around them. And that can create opportunities for office and industrial and medical and hospitality and retail and restaurants and service-oriented commercial real estate. Four is a large and growing business ecosystem. And Katy is no longer simply a bedroom community feeding employees into Houston. And according to the Katy Area Economic Development Council, the area's economy includes more than 13,000 companies with over $20 billion in sales. Now, while more than 200 companies have selected Katy for headquarters for their actual operations, and that concentration matters. And businesses generally benefit from locating near other businesses because supporting ecosystems develop around employment centers. And accounting firms need clients, and contractors need customers, and restaurants need daytime populations, and medical providers need households and employees, and industrial suppliers need manufacturers and service companies. And growth can compound. So, for commercial real estate investors, understanding these relationships is important because the best opportunities are often located where the employment and the rooftops and the infrastructure and the commercial development are already expanding together. 5 is diverse commercial real estate options. So, another advantage of diversity of commercial real estate is what's available in Katy. So businesses can evaluate everything from a Class A office property and medical space to neighborhood retail centers and warehouses and flex buildings and industrial facilities, but also land and build-to-suit opportunities. And that flexibility matters because businesses change and their needs change. And a company that's occupying 5,000 square feet today might require 15,000 square feet several years from now. And companies considering relocation should therefore evaluate more than just today's lease rates. And the best questions can this location support where our company wants to be 5 or 10 years from now? There's expansion opportunities in parking and signage and access and the surrounding developments, but also the infrastructure and the demographics of the area and the ownership economics. All of that should be part of your site selection process. And that's something I can help you with. 6 is population and households have purchasing power, and businesses follow the rooftops. And the Katy Area Economic Development Council, or EDC's broader market profile reports a population that exceeds 1 million people, with median household income of approximately $104,000 based on its 2025 demographic data set. And those demographics help support restaurants and retailers and healthcare providers and professional services and entertainment concepts and childcare operators and fitness businesses and many other consumer-facing industries. So for retailers and service businesses, Katy should not be viewed as just one simple homogeneous market. Cinco Ranch and North Katy and the Grand Parkway corridor and Fulshear facing growth corridors and older established portions of Katy can have substantially different demographics and traffic patterns and development characteristics, but also competitive environments. And that's why site selection needs to go deeper than simply saying, hey, we want to be in Katy. 7 is quality of life helps companies recruit. And commercial real estate decisions and residential decisions are increasingly interconnected. And executives and employees want reasonable commutes, but also quality housing with strong schools and restaurants and shopping and recreation and healthcare and community amenities. And Katy's master plan communities and highly regarded schools have helped create precisely that environment. So for employers, quality of life becomes a recruiting and a retention tool. And locating an office near where the employees already live can potentially shorten commutes and improve the company's ability to attract talent from the West Houston area and the surrounding communities. And that is one reason that residential growth surrounding Katy ultimately matters to commercial property owners. And residential growth creates commercial demand. Number 8 is continued infrastructure and development investment. And successful growth is going to require infrastructure to support that growth. And the Greater Katy region continues to invest in transportation and utilities and commercial development, but also housing and other infrastructure that's required to accommodate that expansion. In the region's 2026 Economic Outlook Summit specifically highlighted transportation, but also water infrastructure and data centers and energy and major regional developments. And for commercial real estate investors, infrastructure can be one of the earliest indicators where future development may be going to occur. So think, when you see new roads and increased utility capacity and new master plan communities or housing and schools and hospitals and major employment projects, all of that frequently precedes additional retail buildings and medical buildings and office buildings and industrial demand. So following the infrastructure can therefore help investors identify emerging commercial corridors before they fully mature. So what does Katy's growth mean for commercial real estate? And the larger story isn't simply that more businesses are moving to Katy. It is the economic ecosystem being created as population growth, employment, infrastructure, business investment, and commercial development all reinforce one another. And that creates potential opportunities across multiple asset classes. And retail follows rooftops, and medical follows population, and industrial follows transportation and economic activity. And office demand follows the employers and their workforce. And land values can respond as infrastructure reaches developing corridors. So for investors and developers and owner users, understanding these relationships is far more valuable than simply chasing whichever property happens to be listed for sale at the moment. Are you thinking about buying or about leasing or selling or developing commercial property in Katy? Well, I'm your guy if so. And choosing the right commercial property requires more than finding just the right available square footage. And businesses should evaluate location strategy and the demographics and traffic patterns and competition, but also lease economics and acquisition cost and what the financing is going to look like, but also future expansion and an exit strategy before committing to a property. And investors need to evaluate many of these same factors from the operator's perspective. So what will make tenants and future buyers want this property? Well, that's where experienced commercial real estate representation is going to become valuable for you. My name's Bill Rapp. I'm a CCIM and the broker behind the eXp Commercial Viking Enterprise team, and we assist business owners and investors and developers and landlords and tenants throughout Katy, Fulshear, West Houston, and the Greater Houston market. So whether you're considering relocating your company to Katy, or purchasing your building, or leasing space, or developing property, or investing in the region's continued growth, the first step is developing the right real estate strategy. And that's what I'm here for. Thanks for your time. You can visit my website, houstonrealestatebrokerage.com. I appreciate your time. You have a good day.